have an excellent topic. We're going to talk about star photography. And we have a great guest, Dave Morrow. And I'm just so excited to learn something about star photography just because I don't know crap. I don't know, I don't know how to do any of it. So, Dave, would you say hi to everybody?
What's up, guys? I don't know if I know that much more than you, but we'll get through it.
I'm sure you know a little bit more than I do. So, and I'm also joined by an excellent group of panelists. Lotus, would you want to introduce the panelists?
Yes. So, guys, I'm going to intro each of you, and when I do, tell people where they can find you on the web. And if you have anything you want to plug real quick, go for it, and we'll come back to you guys later in the show to showcase some of your work. So we'll start off with Alexis Coram.
Yay! Hey everyone, I'm Alexis Coram, and I guess I'm a photographer, kind of. I'm everywhere online these days, Google+, Facebook, Twitter, a little bit, Instagram, where else? Flickr now. Newly.
G+? G+?
I said that, didn't I?
Yeah.
G+, Exposure, Behance. I'm all over the place. My main website is alexiscoram.smugmug.com.
And since everybody always wants to know, where are you from, Allie?
I'm from England.
Australia.
I've been in the US for 10 years, and yes, I do like it here.
Clearly. Well, thank you for being on the show with us tonight.
Thanks, Lo.
Up next, we've got Casey McCallister.
Hey everybody, I'm Casey McCallister. I'm a photographer from San Francisco. I'm also all over the socials. You can find me everywhere: Google+, Facebook, Instagram. Pretty much if there's a social network that exists, I'm on it. I consider myself, I guess, a landscape lifestyle photographer, and you can find most of my work at caseymacphoto.com. It's right there. Or it should be. If it's not, it will be.
Is your lower third dysfunctional? I don't see it. I just see your name, but maybe it's showing on the
I see it
up there.
broadcast. Weird. I don't see it.
And Casey is one of the new co-leads for the Drink and Click in San Francisco, trying to pick up Bonacore slack.
That's right.
That's going to be tough. You're going to have a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a lot of slack there.
Oh yeah.
That's true. Bonacore leaves a lot of slack. So yeah, I'll be helping to plan the events in the Bay Area.
Sweet. Well, we thank you for that and for being on the show tonight, Casey. Thanks.
Of course, happy to be here.
Dave, I'm going to skip you and come to you at the end, okay, since you're a guest tonight.
Sounds good.
All right. Up next, we've got Jason Jakober.
Yeah, I'm Jason Jakober, and I'm a hobby photographer. I shoot a little bit of everything, and I'm on Flickr, G+, 500 pics. So there you go.
Cool.
Awesome. And you're an old school Flickr guy, right? That's your favorite place to be still, or do you like G+?
I mean, G+ has got more interaction, but Flickr's still got to be my home. Been there
Different
since 2008,
flavors,
so,
huh?
Yeah.
So Jason, what's the trick? What's the trick on Flickr? You just share your picture you post to all the groups, or?
To get, you have to play the games in the groups, where you post the ones that say post 1, comment 3, to start out. You do that for a while, and you'll end up getting, a couple 500 followers, and then you decide the ones you really like, and you just focus on them, and there you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Are you taking notes, Allie?
Now I'm trying to find photos.
Jason's giving Flickr tips. Come on.
Yeah, I was taking notes.
All right, Jason, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, we've got Jeff Moreau.
Hi, I'm a high school physics teacher in Pennsylvania, and I love photography, do plenty with that. I'm also more on the landscape side of things as far as what I tend to shoot. I help curate Macro Monday, so I've been doing plenty more with macro stuff on Google+, and that's a lot of fun. But I'm all over social media as well, just like most of you guys, and I guess my main prints are at jeffmoreau.smugmug.com too.
Woohoo!
Mm.
Muggy.
I know.
And then you're also known for a specific genre of self-portraiture, aren't you, Jeff?
That's what I hear. I hear I'm known for the ones where I'm not as much on the ground.
A little bit of a jumpy pants, Jeff.
It happens. Can't help it.
Love the jumping.
Love those. We love those. Yeah, those are great. Well, thanks for being on the show tonight also.
Glad to be here.
And last but not least, our special guest, Dave Morrow.
What's up, guys? I'm Dave. I'm a photographer. I guess an educator. I teach workshops, tutorials, a bunch of different stuff on my website. Find me at davemorrowphotography.com. Google+, Flickr, pretty much every other social website. If you go to my website, all those links are on there if you want to find me. So, thanks for having me on the show, Lotus.
Yeah, thanks for being on. We're excited to hear from you tonight and learn a little bit about star photography.
We'll see what I can lie to you about.
I know, exactly. I don't know if you want to start by showing some of your work and just seeing what you put out lately.
We can start with that. So I'll just pull up, I'll screen share here for a minute. Do this, and we'll do desktop. You're probably going to see a million of yourself for a second. Can you see it? Alright, I'm going to show my grab iPhoto. Can you see my iPhoto right now?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm not seeing it. Can anybody else see
There
it?
it is. Yeah, it just popped up.
Got
Okay,
it?
take a second.
Alright, well I can just go, you want me to just go through a bunch of different photos?
Yeah, you can open one bigger and just
Yeah,
show
I'll
it.
open them up bigger. So basically I have some in here that I've posted online, some of them that I haven't, so I can show all of them. Or I can just show a few. You guys can just yell at me if I'm going too far.
Cool.
So the first one I have, this start up here. And it's going. Can you guys see it alright?
Yeah.
Yep, it looks great.
So basically what I have here is me and my buddy Paul went on a trip to China to shoot Milky Way over the Great Wall. I guess it's been like 3 weeks now. So this is basically the stars over the Great Wall. We thought it'd be a lot darker, but as you can see, it wasn't. The Milky Way is not as bright there as it was here. It's about 3 hours from Beijing, so you have a lot of light pollution stuff going on. And basically, when you're going out to shoot stars, that tends to be the #1 enemy. Is just city lights and stuff like that. Still see a lot of Milky Way and cool stuff. So we went out there, and it was. I guess it was predicted to be like maybe 35 degrees. It ended up being below freezing. So we had like shitty little sleeping bags. We were just out there freezing our asses off on the Great Wall. But still a good time. Tended to be pretty fun. So that's where that shot's from.
Do you stay on the Great Wall when you spend the night, or you stay
Yeah,
all night
so
out, or?
it was kind of funny because this part of the Great Wall that nobody really goes to because you can kind of, I don't know if you can see it over the screen
Yeah.
shield. It's pretty beat up. So there's a lot of different parts of the Great Wall you can go to. This is one of the parts that's not really upkept.
Yeah.
So we asked.
Place to be.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we asked like all around the hotels we were staying at. Everybody was like, "You can't go to that part. Or you can't camp there, or whatever." So we're like, "Well, we'll just get out there." So we hired a driver, and we just got him to drive us out there because driving in China is not something you really want to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just stayed out there for one night and shot, and sunrise and sunset were pretty damn amazing as well. But just cool to be out there in the middle of freaking nowhere on the Great Wall and be like, holy shit.
So how many days you spend in China?
We were there for 11 days,
Okay.
and we were here for Great Wall for pretty much 2 days. I mean, a night and 2 days, and then went to a bunch of other stuff. And I can actually I have a few other pics from there, not to get off topic right away. But we also went to a town called Yangshan, and you see a lot of these pictures, the cormorant fishermen.
Yeah.
So we went out to shoot this guy. You basically have to take bamboo rafts to get out here in the middle of nowhere once again. And we got this little hostel and just stayed out there for a few days. And when we went to shoot this guy, I don't know if you can see over on the right side of the picture, but there's rain pouring down. It was just disgusting and nasty, but still got some good shots and pretty much just.
What
yeah.
ISO were you shooting at?
That's what I was gonna say. It was pitch black, so this is like 4,000, I think.
Okay.
And I just had it wide open. This is like a 14 to 24 lens at f2.8 wide open, and I was just blasting off shots, hoping you'll get something in focus.
Yeah.
Because you really can't see. So I think I took 200 shots that morning, and maybe got 5 or 6 that were okay.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, they still require a ton of noise reduction and crap like that. But I was just happy that the guy was in focus.
Yeah.
Very
Just,
cool.
I mean, you travel from Seattle to that point of the country, it takes like 2 days, and you don't want to screw the shoot up.
Yeah. That guy looks like he has a bunch of secrets.
He's got a lot of secrets, but unfortunately I can't speak Chinese, so. The funny thing was, the only English he knows is hello. So, like, he would get ready, like, he would do a pose, and then he'd be like, hello! And then that's when we were supposed to take the picture. So like later on in the morning, he was throwing this net, like his fishing net. So he'd look at us and he'd be like, "Hello!" And then we'd be like, "Hello!" And then like that was his cue to throw the net. And then he had like a guide with him, so that guy would yell "hello" too, just for good measure. And then so we were just like,
him how to say goodbye.
Exactly.
so we were just all out there like 4 or 5 a.m. just yelling hello at each other. And rolling around. But,
Nice.
That's hilarious.
back to the star pictures. Get through a few more here. This is one I haven't really posted online yet. It's Alvord Desert, which is in Oregon. So it's basically you just drive to the middle of nowhere. It's almost Nevada, and it's just a alkali flat desert. It's almost like where they have Burning Man at. It's actually not too far from that location. But nobody out there, dark skies, and you just take your Jeep out there or whatever and just camp. So I was out there by myself for like 3 days, just kind of going crazy.
Dave, is this east of Crater Lake?
Yeah, it is east. It's east of Crater Lake about 3.5, 4 hours. You got it.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be some of the darkest skies in the
Yeah, on the
world, actually, I heard.
on the dark meter, it's one of the darkest skies in the world.
Yeah, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool place. And yeah, if you guys are ever up in the Crater Lake area, make sure to check this place out. I think it's for star photography, it's better than Crater Lake.
So do you do most of your star photography with your 14 to 24?
Yeah, I shoot a lot with that, and then I actually shoot one. Sometimes I have a fisheye that's like here's a fisheye one. I think it's a 16 millimeter fisheye. It's f/2.8. So I mean, basically when you're shooting stars, you're looking for a low aperture.
Right.
Excuse me. Due to the fact that you want the most light to hit your sensor in the least amount of time, because you don't want to exhibit star trails. So if you have a long exposure, you're going to have some star trails going. So basically, I'm looking.
16?
Yeah, it's 16 millimeter fisheye.
And the other one's a 14?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I think just how they do the optics is a little bit different. Just the angle of the optics. So that's what kind of blew me away at first, because you have the 16 that's way wider than the 14.
Yeah.
It's just a 16 prime fisheye. I don't really shoot with it that much, but that was one of the rare times that I did.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question that's coming in from a viewer that is related to the lens, so it's a good time to ask that one. Paul Gunther asked, he said, I've only got an f4 wide-angle lens. Is this considered junk for Astro? Do I need to buy a f2.8?
Yeah, and if you do, you should buy it off my website with an affiliate link. No, I'm just kidding. You can,
I will put that in the wrap-up post tomorrow.
It all depends how wide it is. So when you're shooting stars, if you want to shoot star trails, it's completely different. But if you want to shoot Milky Way or just stars that are clear, all you're looking to do is what I teach in my workshops is the 500 rule. So you just take, this is being on a full-frame camera, so you just take the number 500 and you divide by your focal length. So say I'm shooting like a 14 millimeter lens, it'd be about 35 seconds before you start to get star trails in your picture. And then the only other thing you're looking at is how much light can hit your sensor. So if you do have like a wider aperture, like an f/2.8 or something like that, more light's obviously going to hit your sensor within that 35 seconds. So you're going to have a brighter shot. In turn, you don't have to crank your ISO up as much. But if you're shooting with like a nice camera, like any full-frame camera, maybe like a Mark III or a D800 or better, your ISO is going to go, I mean, you can go to like 4,000 or 5,000 and not show any signs of noise. Well, a little bit, but not too much. So you're all good to go. If you really want to get good star shots, yeah, ditch the f/4 and get a 2.8. But you can still get some good stuff with the f/4.
Cool.
How long do they have to keep it up in with it for?
That's you can still, I mean, to get a Milky Way shot, you still have to keep. So if you're let's say he has like a 14 millimeter f/4. The maximum time he could go would still be the same as shooting an f/2.8 because you're doing the 500 divided by 14. So let's say he goes 30, so you can go 36 seconds before you start to get trails. Okay. Well, since you can't have as much light hit your sensor at f/4 as f/2.8, you'd have to jack your ISO up a little bit more. So you're just degrading your image quality without having that f/2.8, right?
Yeah, and some people like the trails.
Right, and if you like trails, then you kind of just use the opposite. As the 500, you just go longer than 36 seconds. But to get a nice star trail shot, I actually like to just shoot a bunch of maybe 30-second exposures and then overlam in Photoshop, because then you don't get that really long exposure noise. You just have like 200 small shots that you overlay, and it kind of shows the same thing as star trail.
Yep.
And that's what a lot, like a lot of the good star trail. I don't really shoot that many star trails, but a lot of the guys that do a good job will shoot just like 200 frames, and then they'll just use lighten mode in Photoshop to blend them together.
Okay, so if I'm a new person and I want to go outside the city and I just want to try it, what is the essential gear I need to have? Of course, you have to have a tripod. So
yeah, so what you'll really need to do, I can share this as well. Can you see my my website now?
Okay. Yeah.
So the first thing I always do, I have this free star photography tutorial on my website, which over the last year has become the #1 star photography tutorial on the web, which is cool. I mean, it's free and tells you everything you need, and it's also got like I also sell like some post-processing video tutorials, which you can buy in there, but it's not required to actually do it yourself.
Cool.
So I basically run down everything you need. The first thing I always do is I go out and I go on this map. It's called Blue Marble, and it actually shows light pollution. It's a Google NASA collaboration. It actually shows light pollution all over the world.
Nice.
So
What did you say it's called?
it's just called Blue Marble.
Blue Marble?
Yeah.
Marble.
Blue Marble night pollution map. So, for example, we could go like down in Texas or something, like Big Bend, and you can see that down in that area, you don't see any lights. It's just, if it's blue on the map, it means you're completely dark. So first off, I'll just go pick somewhere that I want to travel. It's completely dark.
Cool.
After doing that, to get set up, basically you just need a nice tripod. I use a pretty tall tripod. The reason being is because when you're out shooting stars all night, you don't really want to be crouched down under your tripod. But any sturdy tripod will work. And then you need a camera with manual mode. It obviously helps to have a full frame, but you don't have to have it. Another thing you need is a fast wide-angle lens. So if you're shooting a full-frame camera, I suggest like a 14 to 16 millimeter or something like that. If you're not shooting full frame, if you're shooting like maybe like a Canon 7D or something, you'd want to have maybe something like a 10 millimeter or something like that. The reason being is because the 500 rule, 500 divided by your focal length is going to give you your longest exposure. Some other stuff I use when I'm out there is like PhotoPills is a pretty good app that I like to use. That kind of tells you when your moon set and rise times are. And that's the other thing you have to watch out for. If the moon's out, you're not going to get good Milky Way shots just because it's not going to be dark enough to get them. So I always look for when the moon sets, and then you can shoot stars anytime. Say the moon sets at 10, I'd wait till like 11:30 to go out and shoot stars. Or if it rises at like 2 a.m., I'd probably stop shooting before 1 o'clock just because it starts to get bright even though the moon's not up yet.
Do you anchor your tripod? Do you put weight on your tripod, or you just?
I don't because I have a really right stuff 72-inch tripod, and it's already like a tank. Okay. So I can probably support 2 or 3 people on there, so I don't really put anything else on there. Yeah. But if you have like a tripod that's not as heavy or heavy duty, a lot of people hang like a bag or something under it, and that helps for camera shake. The thing that you'll find is that normally when you're shooting like 35-second exposure, even if you get like a little tiny tap to your tripod, it's really not going to show up just because it's such a long exposure. So it's not something you need to worry about terribly. I always tell people that come to my workshops and I teach, I always say, hey, well, you have all these things and there's nothing really set in stone. There's a few rules that I need to teach you and some tips and tricks you can have, but the best way to do it is just go out and mess around with your gear and figure out what the hell's going on. And I mean, that obviously goes for any kind of photography, but and if anybody wants to learn more, I have like the 500 rule I was discussing. I have this, basically it's a little Excel sheet that I made that has all the equations mapped out for everybody. So you can pick your focal length of your lens and go across and say, hey, what's the maximum exposure I could shoot Milky Way with, and it'll tell you. And then there's a bunch of other good stuff on there. And then this is kind of cool as well. I'll show this. It goes over camera settings, everything else. And I actually just added a new Star Trails part to it. But I added this section, I guess, 6 months ago, and it allows people that have taken my tutorial or workshops to come upload their own pictures. So I've gotten all these cool pictures from people all over the world that just say, hey, thanks for your tutorial. This is what I got with it. So, I mean, there's a bunch of cool pictures from people everywhere, and it's just, I mean, I just see them flooded, and I'm like, holy cow, that's awesome that you guys are going out and trying this stuff.
So my next question is, how do you focus to something like that?
There's a few tricks to focus. Fortunately, I shoot a Nikon, and Nikon's a lot more lenient on focusing, so I can pretty much focus at infinity. and it'll be pretty sharp. So what I'll do is I'll focus at infinity. I'll take a shot, like a regular setup shot, 30-second exposure, probably f/2.8, ISO 3 or 4,000. And then if it's not in focus, I'll just dial it back little by little until it is in focus. So since it's dark, it's kind of like a hit and miss kind of thing until you nail it down.
Okay. So you just put it down to manual and just play with it and.
Yeah. I actually shoot aperture priority mode for everything else but star photography. Star photography, I'll go manual, and then I'll shoot about 30 seconds f/. I mean, the settings are easy for my camera. It's f/8 or f/2.8, 30 seconds, and like ISO 3 to 5,000. Obviously, every camera is going to differ a little bit, so you have to kind of dial around on your settings to get something you like.
You can also use a flashlight if you have a really strong flashlight. You can shine the light on a distant object, and you can use that for autofocus.
Right, and that works really well. And I've heard a lot of people say it doesn't work great on my camera, but if you pick a star and you have a nice live view on your camera, you can just kind of zoom in on your live view until you see that star, and you can kind of just focus back and forth, manually focus on your focus ring until you can see that star kind of dial into focus, and try that.
That's a cool tip. I've never heard that.
That works really well for Canon, but it does not work for Nikon.
Nikon it doesn't work too well, because Canon has such a, like, Mark IIIs have a killer live view. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Nikon D800 has a really crap live view. I think that's where they kind of blew it on that side. And everything else is great, but that live view is crap compared to Canon.
Yeah, it is.
But, so the thing is, you won't really be able to see the star like perfectly sharp, but you can kind of see where it starts to get bigger, because it'll get blurry and it'll kind of like increase the size a little bit, and then you can kind of see where it gets very small. And then if you go past the focus, it'll start to get bigger again, because you can really narrow it down to get pretty damn close.
And you start shooting your first shot. You start at 3200 ISO.
Yeah, I would suggest people just go out there, open their aperture as wide as possible, and then if they want to take a Milky Way shot, they can just go to this 500 rule chart on my website, and they can pick out the focal length they're shooting at. So, Juan, let's say you wanted to shoot let's say you're shooting a full frame camera at 14 millimeters. You can just pick your sensor size here, and then you can go over to your max exposure time, and it says 36 seconds. So they can just go over here, pick this, go as wide as possible in the aperture, and then pick an ISO of maybe 3200, and then if it's not bright enough, they can just dial that ISO up until they get something they like. Obviously, a lot of cameras don't even offer ISO 3200, and that's the one unfortunate part about star photography. To get really nice results, it does require a pretty good camera. You can get away with a crop sensor, but it doesn't work as well.
Hey, so Dave, I'm really interested in, because I don't believe that chart. When I shoot night photography, I get trails if I follow that chart. Especially with the D800, because when you zoom in, you see it. I mean, you see the slightest movement, even if you reduced it by 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And so what I've come down to, or what I guess my answer is for this, a lot of people have made. So it started out as like the 600 rule, a lot of people were saying, but that's even a longer exposure, so you'll obviously get trails. I think I went with 500 because I just kind of pulled that out of my ass, but the reason I pulled it out of my ass is because I printed out some shots at different exposure times, and I said, hey, if this is sitting in a gallery and I'm standing 5 or 6 feet away from it, I really can't see those really small star trails, so I'm not too worried about it. And I'd rather have a nice bright shot that isn't too screwed up from noise, so I just went with 500. But yeah, you'll definitely see trails no matter what, because obviously, I mean, the Earth is moving compared to the stars. It's such a speed you're going to see it.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
And we can,
You can go with a short. I shoot night stuff, and I don't follow the chart. I don't do as long exposures as that. I'd rather take a little extra noise, quite frankly.
Yeah,
and have a sharper image. But that's just I think that's a preference with photographers, right?
No, I completely agree. And if you have, obviously you're shooting with a nice camera. So if you have a camera that can handle ISO 5000, more power to you, right? And I'm the same way. I don't really shoot past 30 seconds for star shots, and because I don't like to see that, I'd like to see a sharper star as well. But for most people, they just want to kind of have a rule of thumb to go by. And when I go out and teach people this, I say start with this 500 rule setting, and then go up and down on some in exposure time and see what result you like. So I kind of just tell them to mess back and forth and see what they get out of it. But I think for a rule of thumb or somewhere to start with, it's always good. But like you're saying, yeah, you're going to see some trails, but really small ones.
So Dave, what phase of the moon do you prefer to shoot at to get an adequately lit foreground?
I don't shoot under any moon. So anytime like any of these Milky Way shots, I just pull some random ones up. Like this shot, there's no moon. So I'll pick. Normally when I shoot is about a week before and a week after the new moon, because you can go out any time during that period and the moon won't be up at some point in the night. Mm-hmm. Before the new moon, it's kind of nicer because the moon's rising on you, so you don't have to wait until like 2 or 3 in the morning. You can shoot right after sunset. But after the new moon, the moon's setting on you, so you have to kind of go out at a different time. It's normally like 2 a.m. or something like that. So that's for the night owls. But yeah, if there's a moon out, you won't see the Milky Way very brightly. So basically plan your shoot around no moon being out. And a great app to do that is like Photopills, the Photographer's Ephemeris, stuff like that. It's pretty nice for that. And they'll show you when the moon's going to rise, it's going to set, and all that kind of good stuff.
Do you do light painting then for like objects in the foreground or anything?
I will. So like this shot, this is just like just take some steel wool and spin it. But light painting stuff, I don't do too much light painting. What I'll often do is I'll take one exposure for the sky to get a nicely exposed Milky Way.
Gotcha.
And then I will take another shot that maybe for the foreground that maybe lasts like 2 or 3 minutes, and that allows me to get a nice exposed foreground, and then I'll blend those 2 shots together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do carry a light with me, and sometimes I will light stuff up. I can pull up a photo where I use some light paint.
Steve, I've got one of yours shared right now that I think is that one 2 exposures or 1?
Let me see. Hold on, let me pull this back up. Sorry.
It's one with a road in front.
That's just one, and what I did is I just flashed it on that yellow. I wanted like a little bit of detail in the foreground, so I just flashed my light on it maybe like a second.
Okay.
And but you'll find when you go out and mess around with light painting that it does take some skill, because if you shine it right on it, it looks like really bright light compared to what you're seeing in the rest of the scene. It'll just blow it out. So I often I'll hold a headlamp in my hands and kind of like cup it, so it's not directly shining the object, and I'll kind of just wave it back and forth in front of my body a little bit. But I mean, that's something that you'll mess around with and you'll kind of get it. But yeah, light painting works pretty damn well. I'd like to find a shot where I did some light painting. Here we go. So this is just flowers in the foreground, which I normally kill myself. I normally don't ever shoot flowers, but here you go.
But they're so pretty.
I know.
It's so adorable.
So basically, this is light painting, and this was just a single exposure. Obviously, if you wanted to get more detailed, you could take 2 exposures. You could focus. I mean, I'm shooting at f/2.8 here, so you can see the flowers in the very foreground aren't that focused, but the one kind of in the middle is focused. You could exposure blend. You could take like maybe 5 exposures. You could exposure blend the whole front of the scene. If nobody knows what I'm talking about there, it means you take, say you focus on the very front flower, then you take another exposure to take the middle flowers, and then you focus a little bit farther back for the back flowers, and then you can blend all those together and get a nice in-focus picture. And a lot of people use that all the time just for landscape stuff to keep maybe a very close foreground in focus as well as the background. And then you can take your Milky Way shot separate and blend them all together. It all depends how much you really want to do in Photoshop.
I really like this one. I like the way that it almost gives a sense of movement. It looks like the flowers are coming at you.
Yeah.
I meant to do that.
Yeah.
Hey Dave, so somebody's asking, Gray Kinney, he's asking what kind of white balance you use when you shoot that.
I used to shoot all auto, and now I've kind of moved to shooting Kelvin. So what I do is, I mean, it doesn't, let's just say this, it doesn't really affect you. If you're shooting raw files, it's not going to matter. You can just get back home and adjust your white balance. The only reason I shoot Kelvin is to actually see kind of what I'm going to get on my camera, so I can replicate it at home. So I'll just dial in my Kelvin. If you dial in a pretty cool temperature, I'm not sure, is that a low number? Is cool low in Kelvin? I don't know. Anybody know?
I think so. I
think
so.
Cool, maybe like 4. I'm just guessing because I don't ever know. Just kind of go out there and mess around with it. I think it's like maybe 4,000 is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can just take some practice shots on Kelvin and move it around until you get some stuff that's kind of nice. I always like to, even though it's not like really true to your eye when you go out and look at the sky, it's not really blue. But you always grow up thinking like a night sky is going to be blue. So I kind of give a blue feel to a lot of my pictures, and I think that kind of gives it a dreamy look and takes people out of maybe the reality of a picture and kind of just puts them in another place. So I'm not a big fan of saying, hey, this is 100% what it looked like, but I think it just looks cool, so I do it.
Yeah. You post what you like, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the way I think, yeah.
I mean, just give somebody a feeling that kind of transports them to another place. This is another one at Mount Rainier, and this is actually, I took this when we were teaching a workshop. So we all go up to this location on the side of the mountain. Mount Rainier's over here on the right side. I just cut it out in this picture. But this is a really cool spot to shoot because you have this little lodge down here on the left, and then you have Mount Rainier over here to your right.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you can actually see this little bit of green in the picture. That's called it's called air glow. I didn't really know that when I shot it, but I kind of came home and Googled it and found out. So it's like part of the Northern Lights or the Aurora, and just kind of feedback from it. And this is facing south, and you can still see it, so it's kind of neat.
That's pretty cool.
What else do we have?
What elevation were you at in that one, out of curiosity?
I think this lodge is cool because you can just drive right up to it for lazy people like me. So you can park right down here. I think the parking lot's maybe 6,500, so this is probably close to 7. Not much more than that.
Is that at sunrise?
Yeah, that's sunrise. You went there, right?
Yeah, it's
Pretty
gorgeous.
cool spot, right?
Yeah, very. I slept up there actually.
Did it stay nice and cold?
It was pretty chilly, yeah, but
Yeah.
it was nice to go to sleep under the stars and then wake up to a beautiful sunrise.
Yeah,
So,
it's amazing up there, and that's what we always do. We just go up there and sleep in that parking lot and drink some beers and hang out and
Yeah.
shoot some stars. It's a fun
Hey,
time.
Dave,
Allie's description of it was much more romantic.
I might not be a romantic.
Hey, Dave,
Let me ask you another question from the questions coming from the viewers.
Yeah, go for it.
Paul Gunther asks, any specific advice for shooting meteors? The Geminid shower is peaking tomorrow.
The funny thing about that is that I take a lot of star pictures, so people always think I'm going to know when meteor showers are coming. But normally the only reason I have pictures of them is because people tell me. They're like, oh, this is coming. I'm like, no, I didn't have a freaking clue. But I just go out and take pictures on it. But for meteor stuff, when I ever get meteors in my pictures, I can see if I have some here. Like there's a few, and there's one in the middle there. But basically, you just fire off a bunch of shots, and you can just stand there, and when you see one start to fly across the sky, just fire off a shot, and you'll normally just get it in there. So it's basically luck of the draw to get a bunch of meteors. I think I've seen David Kingham. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's a pretty good star photographer, and he's got a lot of meteor shots. And you'll see shots with a bunch of meteors in one picture. Normally that's not the case. It's a bunch of meteors that were taken over an elapsed period and stacked into each other. But it still looks really cool. So I mean, if it looks cool, who cares, right?
The more you learn about photography, the more you can spot when it's not just one shot.
Right, and you can just, all you do is, I'm guessing when he takes shots like these, he goes out and takes shots over, maybe he's even doing a time-lapse, and the best way to catch meteors really is do a time-lapse, and you'll have a bunch of stills from that time-lapse, and you'll probably have meteors in them. But yeah, if you want to catch a bunch of them, the best way is just to stand there, and when you see one start to fly, which is visible with the human eye, you can just snap off your picture, and it should be in there.
how do you trigger your camera? You use a remote, or you just?
I was real ghetto for a while, and I'd never had a remote until last week. And then I was in a Big Sur shooting last week, and I was like, I need a remote. This is getting so old. So I finally bought one. But I haven't shot with it yet. So you can get away with either or.
Okay.
All these pictures that you're seeing right now was not shot with a remote. But it definitely helps.
You just mentioned Big Sur, and we also have someone asking. George Krieger asked, "What was your favorite place to shoot around Big Sur?"
Ooh, that's a good one. For stars, Pfeiffer Beach was really cool. It's really black down there, and there's a nice view of the ocean. This time of year, you have to watch out though, because the Milky Way it sits kind of in the west right now, so by like 11 or 12 p.m., the Milky Way is kind of north, and you can't shoot it over the ocean. As far as just straight out photography, I think, is it Garapata State Park, I think it's pronounced? And that's just a little bit south of Carmel. That was my favorite place overall to shoot. That whole stretch of Big Sur, there's stars everywhere, so you can just go out there and wander around. A lot of people shoot McWay Falls for Milky Way, but this time of year you can't really get the Milky Way over the falls, so just wander around down there. I'd say if you've never been to Big Sur and you want to just go shoot there, just take 4 days and just wander around, and you'll find some cool spots.
It's overcast a lot, so you need to check the weather.
Right, and yeah, we were there for 4 nights, and we only had 1 night of shooting stars, but the sunrises and sunsets are perfect when it's overcast, so no complaints in that department. Allie, where did you like to shoot in Big Sur?
I've been there a few times, and I usually get cloud. The one time Casey and I went, I don't even know when it was now. Casey will have to say. A few months ago, 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like July, I think.
Yeah, and we went to McWay at night to shoot, and it was fun. It was very fun. And we got the Milky Way for like maybe 5 minutes, and then this wad of cloud just came in, and the whole place was just cloud.
Yeah.
So it can, conditions can change really rapidly. I actually did get a good shot from that night, but it was literally the only shot I took of the Milky Way.
Yeah, that's the thing about anywhere I ever shoot in the ocean, like she said, it's that cloud cover can roll in so fast. So if you see the Milky Way at all and you're out shooting, just get some shots of it to guarantee your night, and then go wander around some more.
Yeah, right.
Like, so for example, this was shot on the Olympic Peninsula in Ruby Beach, Washington, and I just went out there one night to just hang out with my girlfriend and my buddy, and we were just sitting out there, and I just started taking some star pictures, but people just told me, you're really lucky that it was actually clear out there, because it's normally just nasty, because it's Washington, and the peninsula is always nasty. So you're basically on the beach, and you can see the Milky Way reflected in the beach a little bit, and sea stacks and stuff over on the right. But anywhere up there is really dark, so if you ever get the chance to go to the Olympic Peninsula and shoot, absolutely amazing.
I'm going there very soon.
Yeah, awesome. Let me know, and I'll come out and shoot with you.
Oh, yeah, I will. I'll drop you a note.
Here's some other stuff this is also from the Olympic Peninsula. Just the ocean and the Milky Way. Got a few other ones. There's another one. And you can see a few shooting stars in here. These aren't meteors, but you'll see a lot of shooting stars going across your screen. Thing about shooting stars... Oh, go ahead.
So when you finish about shooting stars, I wanted to ask you to go ahead and... you mentioned earlier that you had an announcement tonight, so I figured you could go ahead and do that before...
Oh, yeah,
we move
sure.
out.
So, I don't know if you guys have heard of Michael Shaneblum. He's another star photographer. He does a lot of time-lapse stuff. Did the film Mirror City, which is absolutely mind-blowing. I don't know if you guys have seen that one or not.
Yeah, I know of Michael.
Yeah. So him and I have been working on this project for the last 4 months now. And basically what we've done is we've started a website that we've recorded some tutorials together. And we've put them all on this website. It's going to be called learnstarphotography.com. It's not up and running yet, but just because I have it blocked, because I'm still doing the design. But website's all good to go, and we're going to offer group workshops, full inclusive tutorials, and we're going to do some mentorship and stuff like that as well on the website. So the next month, you'll be able to go to that domain name and find that stuff. And we're going to post a bunch of workshop dates, and tutorials will be free, or not free to download, but they'll be online to download for a price. And you can either...
What is the website again?
It'll be learnstarphotography.com. Super easy to remember.
Cool. Yep.
Learningstarphotography.com.
Just learn.
Learnstarphotography.com.
You got it. And I think if you
sounded easier than it was.
I think if you went there right now, it'd probably just be blocked and ask you to log into Google. But within
You mean
a month,
there's not like a picture of you in an elf hat there waiting for us for Christmas?
it could be later tonight if you want to check back.
Okay, well, cool.
That's my announcement. I don't know if you want me to get through any more pictures or not. I kind of rambled forever.
No, I think we need to move to the panelists so we can wrap it up on time.
All right.
But your pictures are amazing. I mean, it's like I never tried star photography, and I can't wait just to get out of Austin. I don't know how far we have to go to be able to get something like that, but
if you go to that free star photography tutorial on my website, it'll have everything you need to know. How do I exit screen?
You got it.
Am I good? Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
We can see your gorgeous face again.
Whoa.
Well, thanks for being on tonight, Dave.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Teaching us a little bit.
I try my best.
And we have some great panelists here tonight also who have amazing work, so we're going to see a little bit from them. Does anybody want to jump in and start first, or shall we call on you by name?
I'll go first.
Go for it, man.
The first thing I want to show off is that awesome picture that's sitting behind Allie's little room right now.
Yay!
So
Let's highlight Allie. What do we have here?
I can't point. I don't know which one I'm pointing at.
Yeah,
You got it. You got it.
that one there. That's my photo. I can actually show you the full version here.
Awesome. I love it.
Share my screen. So yeah, here's the full version. This is in the Great Sand Dunes of Colorado. Some amazing sand dunes. I think they're the highest elevated sand dunes in the United States. I might be wrong about that, but it sounds good. So this is actually a selfie. I don't know if you could see me, but I'm like the tiny little figure in the
It's
right
awesome.
lower
that's
third.
awesome.
I think that
set up.
makes the picture.
Yeah. Well, you can't actually tell what it is until you look at the figure myself in the screen. I've had questions, people asking me if it was naked bodies stacked on top of each other, if it was just like paper airplanes.
It's sort of a Rorschach test then. Like whatever you see first says something about your personality, right?
Exactly. But essentially what I was doing is I wanted I wanted like the figure to be in the photos, so to give a sense of scale. And so playing this back, I set up my camera on a tripod and just started shooting a time lapse, one photo every 3 seconds, and then walked into the frame. And playing back the sequence is hilarious because you can just see my little self walk into the screen and then go up the mountain. I actually continued up the mountain to the top, and it just lasts for like 20 minutes. It's hilarious to watch.
Yeah,
I watch it
cool.
when I'm in a bad mood.
Very cool time lapse to see.
Yeah, exactly.
It does
So
look like somebody's under some silk sheets or something like that, you know.
It does. Let me zoom in. You can actually see. There I am, a little bit bigger.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The other thing, I have a couple more photos I can show, but the other thing I wanted to show off was, I don't know if you guys have heard of this new website that's come up recently. My day job is a web designer for Stipple, so I'm kind of passionate about, you know, websites and usability and that sort of stuff. And there's this new website that's popped up recently called exposure.so. I don't know why they went with the .so, but
What's
that's
the
what
.so,
it is.
man? Never even heard of that.
Weird.
It's some other country's, you know, domain extension. I'm not sure exactly. It's
Cheap
odd.
domain.
Yeah, but it works. So essentially what it is like a microblogging platform or a small CMS, I guess, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. And this is the homepage. But what you can do is you can create these little photo stories, and I have 2 of them up right now. And it's just full of white space, really, really showcases the photos. This is one that I created about my first 5 months in California. You can create full screen photos or these little small thumbnails. It really puts emphasis on the photos, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's like a print. It's just beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, you can have little photo essays, so I wasn't very wordy with this one, but you can write, you know, full paragraphs, full stories, and even put more emphasis on the words.
That's an awesome picture.
Oh, thanks. I was going to show that one in a minute. This one is one I created when I went home for Thanksgiving about my hometown. It's a really small town in Texas. It's quite boring, so I was home with nothing to do, so I went out to shoot these photos of my hometown.
Cool. Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, check that out, exposure.so. It does cost a yearly fee. I think it's $99, which, you know, is not much for your photos to be displayed beautifully.
Now, do you take when you post on there, do it actually upload the photo directly to that site, or do you actually link in HTML like from a SmugMug or something?
It actually uploads it to this site. I think
cool.
they use like Amazon hosting or something to host
Gotcha.
photos, but yeah. So let's look at that photo. This is a photo that I took in Tahoe this summer. It was shot during the rim fire that was going on in Yosemite. And I knew that, you know, whenever a fire is happening, you know, obviously the sky fills with smoke and you get some pretty amazing sunsets. Well, I had to decrease the saturation of the orange in this photo because it was just so vibrant, it didn't look real. And it was one of those situations where, you know, you're taking the photo and just freaking out the entire time because the sky is just so amazing. So I wanted a little bit different angle of, this is Bonsai Rock.
The elusive Bonsai Rock?
Yeah, so I backed up into the rocks a little bit to try and frame it and maybe try and do something different. I don't know, this thing's been shot a million times, so it's hard to get a new angle, but I was pleased with this photo. You know, it's pretty orange, and despite, you know, the devastation that was going on in Yosemite a few 100 miles away, the sky was at least beautiful in Tahoe.
So Casey, I guess I can see the water a little, you know, hazy. So how long was that picture?
This was, I want to guess, probably around a minute.
Okay.
Probably. I shot, you know, multiple shots this night, for anywhere from 30 seconds to probably around 300 seconds, and I think this one was around a minute.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then just because we're talking about star photos, this is one that I took in January of this year over Arapahoe Basin in Colorado. This is a shot from Loveland Pass. You can just drive up. There's a little parking lot right here.
Oh, nice.
And
Very cool.
yeah.
Are you a skier, Casey?
I'm a snowboarder. I think I
Nice.
got in like 60 days last year,
Yeah,
but
A Basin's awesome.
I love A-Basin. But now that I live in San Francisco, it's going to be a little bit harder.
Yeah, a little hype.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's all I have.
At least you're not in Texas.
That's right. I actually skied a lot in Texas. We used to drive to Ruidoso, New Mexico. It was about 3 hours from where I lived, and I skied a lot in Texas.
Crap.
It wasn't the greatest snow, but it was, you could slide on.
Yeah. Cool. So
that's all
we
I got.
are. Thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you.
Who is ready? Who's next?
I can go.
Go for it.
All right. So I'm pretty much a jack of all trades when it comes to photography. I shoot whatever kind of catches my eye. This was on a trip over to Portland. It's Panther Creek Falls.
Oh, that's
Nice.
nice.
That's a fun spot.
Yeah, it was very cool. It's amazing the shots we got there. Let's see what else.
I feel like you guys
That's
are
not
so
right.
lucky. So lucky that you guys have all these different.
This is some of my other. This is from a series I do with this television. It's called the White Noise series. It always has the TV in it
That's cool.
with the white noise. So I get into some photo manipulation. I'm doing like a 52 weeks. I did a 365 last year.
I love this series, Jason. It's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like seeing you have some really creative shots. It's really cool to see what you come up with.
And this is some of my high-speed
That's
macro
Oh, nice.
water drop photography.
sweet. How do you do that? I've never actually tried that before.
Well, it's a lot of trial and error. Basically, it's just it's pretty simple setup, but it's timing of a drop of water has to hit, bounce back up, and then another drop hits that drop bouncing up, and then you get lucky and take the picture when it happens.
Just
So
like
you,
most
it's
photography.
like you were saying. You take 200 pictures and you get
Right.
6 of them that are decent.
But Jason, you learned a lot with this, like the idea, the background there, and knowing that that background's going to be a little blurred, and the reflection of the background's going to add some texture into the water stuff you get. Or is it water or milk this time?
This is milk here.
Okay, yeah.
And you're absolutely. It's funny. The background is actually a pair of my wakeboard shorts. That's the pattern off of it.
You can't tell that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Secret.
Let's see. And then there's another one from my 365.
That's awesome.
Basically covered myself in baby powder, and then my wife dumped water on top of me. And that.
And I'm sure that didn't make a mess at all.
No.
Well, the best part is I did this. We were back home at my parents' house, and I had to take the shot that day, so we did it in the bathroom, and there was about an 1/8-inch powder layer across everything in that bathroom when I was done that I had to clean up, or my mom would have killed me.
Oh, you're still afraid of the wrath of mom at your age.
Oh, absolutely.
Always.
Since we're doing star stuff, I think this is the Milky Way. I'm sure Dave can tell me. This is the only time I've ever tried it,
Yay, it is!
Oh yeah, you got it.
so I got to try some more now that I know a little bit more about it.
That's kind of how I started shooting Milky Way shots. We were out just shooting sunset, and then we were just out there fucking around, and I saw Milky Way in my shot. I was like, holy shit, that's pretty cool.
pretty.
So I start dialing around
Yeah.
settings and figure it out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you've got a
This is
shooting star in there too.
No doubt.
Nice.
so. I think that's what I got for you.
What? Where did you shoot that at?
Pinehurst, Idaho.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, about an hour away from here.
Idaho looks pretty cool. I haven't actually traveled through there much. Driven through it, that's it. But it looks like
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool dark spots out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of nothing in Idaho.
Good to shoot the stars. Okay, sweet. Thanks for sharing that stuff, man.
Awesome. Thanks.
Who's ready to go next?
Doesn't matter to me or Allie.
Jeff, you're it.
Okay, save that for last then. Let's see. Make sure my screen share goes here. I just got a few. Since it was mentioned, are we?
Yes!
Somehow, I don't even know exactly where it started, but somehow this became something I was known for. This one's only a few weeks old, New York City. I was there with 2 other Google Plus photographers. They're actually standing right behind me talking, and this was a real quick mini tripod on the ground. First shot, stand on the trash can, jump off with the 10-second timer, and that's it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
There's like, I can't ever see one of these without smiling.
I'm glad.
There's such a good, like, it's a good, happy feeling.
I have fun with it. I try not to do too many of them because I feel like they can get old. But I should put them all together at one point because I've probably got minimum 50 of these at different spots around the
Make a
world.
Jumpy Pants book with blurb.
There you go.
Yeah.
But let's see. I'll move on here. The one of mine that got the most exposure ever was this one. This one blew up on Reddit a year ago and got well over 1 million views. This was on 47th Street in New York City. Literally, I was crossing the street after a big storm. You can see the rain on the ground, and this was just just right in the middle of the road as I was crossing the street.
That piece of sky there is just so cool.
It was a neat day, but that's the one of mine that I'd say has got the most exposure. But the one I'm most proud of the exposure is not a photo that I think is that great, but this is one that National Geographic actually bought after a whatchamacallit. It's not Star Trails. I don't think it's the greatest picture, but this was after the first rocket launch out of Wallops Island, Virginia. So there's the rocket coming off the side here. This was a 4-minute exposure.
That's cool.
Rocket going across this way. And then this was in between stages. There's actually one of the stages.
Yeah.
Can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one stage was right here of the rocket. And then it was in between stages, another stage right there. And I did have to do a little light painting to get the John Deere in the corn in the front ground.
Yeah.
But this was at 11:30 at night, and I was on somebody else's property, so I'd showed up at their front door around 7 o'clock at night and been like, hey, do you mind if I stand over here at night with my tripod? It'll be pointed away from your house, I promise, and take this exposures, and like, I don't care, whatever. Because I live in a little apartment, I don't have anywhere with a good horizon like this, but I wanted to see it.
That's cool.
Very cool.
And then this one is the screen share working all right for that?
That one hasn't changed yet.
Hasn't changed.
There it is.
There you go.
Is it widescreen?
Yep.
Yeah. We got it.
You see like Andromeda Galaxy on the far right?
Yeah.
And the orange on the bottom left, making sure it gives you the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It looks funny on mine. But this was in Death Valley. It was 7 vertical shots stacked together sideways. And each one... Now, I don't have... Dave, I don't have as good equipment as you. This is a crop sensor, and I can't shoot above 1600 ISO without much noise.
Yeah, a lot of people can't go up that far. I mean, I think the only place that actually matters is when you print full size and you start to see some noise in there. But when you're showing it online, it doesn't really do too much to it.
Right. But yeah, this was a really cool experience. It was 99 degrees Fahrenheit, 3:30 in the morning. I'd left from Vegas at when did I leave Vegas? I left Vegas at 1 in the morning to drive here. Slept for an hour and a half, left Vegas at 1, and then, yeah, it was a really cool scene. I don't have, when you look at those dark sky maps like are on Dave's website, Pennsylvania isn't good.
The whole East Coast is terrible.
Yes. Anywhere near here is not good. You got to go far. So I was trying to take advantage of some dark skies around there. And I guess I'll say, then I did that. I tried to mix the two together. It didn't work so well. I tried to mix the jumping with the Milky Way.
Though.
That's kind of cool.
And I didn't. I needed a flash in my hand. I just had a little light on my keychain.
It's actually really cool. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's something really special about the skies in Death Valley. I did that same drive, and I left Vegas, I think, around 2 to get to Death Valley for sunrise, and just that drive, it's so dark out there. Mm-hmm. And I think I was like looking out the car window and just smiling really big because it was so dark and the stars were amazing. I wound my window down. It was pretty cold, but yeah, it's gorgeous out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some of that green glow that Dave was talking about that you sometimes get, almost like a northern light type thing on
cool.
there. But that's me in a quick nutshell. This is later that same morning, the Badwater Basin where I was shooting from.
Badwater Basin is cool, yeah.
But that's my quick rundown of recent stuff.
Cool.
You got some stars in there too, right?
What was that?
It looks like you had a few stars in that shot too, don't you?
Yeah. There's a few in this one. The sun was coming up.
I like those early morning shots, like a few stars on the top. Look really cool. Awesome shot.
Just a little sprinkling. Good stuff. Good stuff, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Time for Allie.
Allie,
Yay.
show us your stuff, babe.
Please
That's what
do.
she said. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Take it a second. All right, we got it.
Yeah, okay. So this is my website. This is SmugMug. I'm kind of, I guess I'm an eclectic photographer, so I like to shoot a ton of different stuff, and I have very different styles. I don't have a consistent style, and I'm fine with that. I do a lot of black and white. I do a lot of really vibrant color stuff, and I shoot a bunch of different things. So
the way you have the site laid out there with it half and half like that, that's neat.
Yeah, the first time I went to your site when you redesigned it with that, I was like, holy shit, that's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
yeah, it worked out pretty well. So the reason I came here was to show the one night shot that I've done a bunch of Milky Way stuff as well. I actually haven't really shot that much. The first time I shot a Milky Way was this shot in this is at Crater Lake, and this was July 4th of this year. So that was the first time I'd actually this is the very first Milky Way shot I ever took.
Wow.
That's an awesome Milky Way. Crater Lake's hard to get Milky Way. That's a really nice shot.
Yeah, and this is that air glow too, which is kind of cool. But this was the one I wanted to show. This is McWay Falls in Big Sur. So this is when Casey and I were there with Natalia Stone. And this is kind of like Dave mentioned earlier, 2 exposures. So I did, this is actually 20-second exposure for the sky. And this was the first time I used my D800, which I adore.
It's a beast.
Huh?
Said it's a beast.
Yeah, it is a beast. And then I think this is a 5-minute exposure for the waterfall, the beach, and the ocean. And you see there's a little bit of cloud kind of coming in, creeping in on the bottom right of the sky. And then, I mean, really just after I took this shot, it was just an absolute swamp of cloud. I think Casey was like lying down behind me when I took this shot.
How long was the bottom, the waterfall shot?
It's about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Wasn't there a funny story about the waterfall too?
Yeah, it was. There was a couple of people having a lot of fun behind that waterfall.
And on the campground or actually down on the beach?
Like literally on the beach right behind the waterfall.
Shit, I didn't get any of that action.
Yeah, they didn't think that anyone was watching them, but Casey had his big lens out.
The creeper lens, that's what he was doing on the ground?
Yeah, the creeper lens. Yeah.
We said we weren't going to talk about that, Allie.
Right. And then this is Mount Rainier. This is at sunrise.
Awesome.
This is the spot where Dave was up shooting the launch.
That's amazing.
And this is with the Zeiss. This is the Zeiss 18mm lens, which is, I mean, crystal clear. You get really great detail with that lens.
Is that a 1.4 or what aperture is that?
It's I actually think it's a 2.8 actually.
I've heard awesome stuff about that lens.
Yeah, this shot is this is at Yellowstone National Park, and this is with the Sigma 35mm 1.4.
Yeah, I heard great things about that lens.
It's an amazing lens. It's really hard to find infinity. So it took me about 30 minutes to find infinity. It took a lot because it was so precise. And I rented that lens actually. If I bought my own, I would mark infinity on it for sure. But really cool. It's a really cool lens. This is Yellowstone again. This is Old Faithful.
Hey, can I interrupt you for a second? You just made an awesome point about marking your lens. Like if people are out shooting at night and you find where your infinity is, I carry a roll of duct tape and I just have people that I instruct use it. You can just tape your lens focal ring and then it won't move anymore and you can be pretty much set for the night.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then, I think I love vibrancy. I'm actually experimenting a little bit lately with kind of calming down. And also playing with film. So I just got some film developed from a recent trip, and these are some of the. I'll just skim through them, but this is Rainier. This is Glacier. It's really different. It's very raw. It's grainy. There's something about it I really love. It's not as polished as the digital stuff. And it's also kind of cool because you have no idea what you're capturing.
Did you try a bunch of different film types, or were you just shooting like one specific thing you like?
This is all shot with the same type of film.
Cool.
Yeah.
They look amazing.
Yeah, so that's a
cool shot.
Yeah, this one, so I need to rotate. Hang on, one
Turn
moment.
your head, Tyler.
Yeah, this was this was the first shot in the roll. So I did a couple of shots with the back of the camera open. I'm going to try more of this my next trip because I love the way the light bleeds in. It kind of starts exposing the film. It's really cool.
So you actually leave the back where you load the film open?
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
And it lets light directly onto the film. It's kind of cool. This is Thomas Hawke, actually.
That's cool.
But yeah, anyway, it's just something I'm playing with right now.
That's pretty cool.
Different stuff. And there's a naked guy.
Hey!
Finish on that.
Naked guy.
Yeah.
Finish on that.
And that's what she's going to end with.
Yeah.
That's what I'm ending with. I'm ending on a high note.
Awesome.
Always got to show the ass right before you leave.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Thanks, Allie. It's really nice to have a chance to look at your beautiful work.
Yeah, this is really cool.
So we are going to announce the top 3 winners for the November challenge, which was transportation. Lotus, you want to change your screen share?
Yes. We're starting with third place and moving along upwards. So this is the third place winner. Amalia Diaz from Austin.
Hey, Amalia!
That's a cool shot.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. And then we have our second place. It's taking a second to load. I have the best connection ever. Matthias Lambrecht.
Yeah, and I actually...
Probably butchered the name.
I actually was in Tokyo when he took that picture.
Oh, so you were there with him when he took it?
I was trying to take a picture of the same thing.
Oh, you were trying to.
Yeah.
And he was successful.
He was successful, I felt.
Well, he got second place.
That's really cool. I like that.
That's an awesome shot. Love it.
Yeah.
And then our first place winner is Burke Biaggi.
Wow. Cool.
And that's a Berlin, is that right?
No, that's actually New York. And the cool thing is that the train stopped, and it was just stopping on that station. He jumped into the train, took the picture, got out of the train, and the train kept going.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I see. NYC. Okay, yes, that's our first place winner.
Yeah.
It's so cool that it's empty.
From last month's challenge. And it was transportation. Our current month's challenge is celebration.
Yes, and this is the first prize for the first place, a Pan Am bag.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, so we are going to ship it to him in New York. And the second place gets Gary Fong's snout. Is that how you say it? Yeah, snout. And then the third place winner, Amalia, gets a Think Tank Pixel, Pocket Pixel, where you can put your memory cards in. So.
Sweet. Okay, well, we've got a winner to find during our show tonight, too. And so it's the time when we're going to ask a question about something that Dave talked about earlier. And for our viewers who are watching right now, if they want to get ready to answer the question, they have to answer the question in the comments on the event for the show. And the first person to answer it correctly will win Dave's star tutorial and his entire set of Lightroom presets for star photography processing.
Son of a bitch.
The question is, what is the name of the map Dave uses to find where there's light pollution versus complete dark? And we're going to have a look at the event, and if we don't get an answer right away,
Then you don't get anything.
I know.
Well, then we'll just wait until they come in later. We're not going to sit here for it.
Yeah.
But
If whoever wins, just email me and I'll send them the free
pull it.
download link.
you know, it's probably already come in, but my connection is so bad that it's not refreshing. So I'm going to refresh it and see if we have a live winner. And if we don't, we'll just announce the winner offline.
Yep.
Okay, we don't have anything yet. So just one more time, the name of the map that Dave uses to find where there's light pollution. And so we'll just keep an eye on that, and we'll let you know who the winner is, Dave.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's our show for tonight.
Yeah.
It was
Thank you
great
so much.
having you guys.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you being here, teaching us about star photography, Dave, and all
No
of the
problem.
panelists as well, sharing your work and joining the discussion.
I know. Thank you everybody for joining us, Alexis and Casey, Dave, Jason, and Jeff.
Thank you.
Lotus. I had to name everybody.
Yeah, and so we want to remind everybody who's watching, too, that check and see if there's a chapter in your local area and join an event sometime this month. Get in on the celebration challenge. We have prizes to give away for this challenge as well from Smug Mug, Think Tank, and Trey Ratcliffe's Stuck in Customs. So you can get in on that if you go to an event this month.
Yep.
Woot woot!
Yep.
Woo!
Hey,
Okay.
I think we have a winner.
Do we have one?
I think so. I think Michael O'Reilly.
Yep, looks like Michael O'Reilly's the first one that got it correct. It's Blue
Nice.
Marble.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Blue Marble.
So we'll
like
get
it.
his contact information to you, Dave.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay. Make sure you guys who are watching us check out our show next month. We'll have Joe Azure, and we'll
Yep.
talk about long exposure photography. That's on January 15th.
Yep. That'll be awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you everybody for
See ya.
watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Right.
Right.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.